Welcome to the Wildkit Way, a podcast that gives the mic to Dr. Marcus Campbell, the superintendent of Evanston Township High School. Join us on this audio journey as Dr. Campbell shares his stories and insights and has honest, real conversations with people who make ETHS and our community the incredible place it is.
Please remain seated.
As we wrap up the 2023-24 school year, Dr. Campbell sits down with the new superintendent of Evanston-Skokie School District 65, Dr. Angel Turner. The two discuss how the two districts are working together to support the needs of all students in the Evanston-Skokie community. Let's get started.
You know what to do.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Campbell here, superintendent at Evanston Township High School, and welcome to another episode of the Wildkit Way podcast. And I am here today with my distinguished and illustrious colleague, Dr. Angel Turner, the newly appointed superintendent for District 65, Evanston-Skokie. Congratulations, Dr. Turner. And I guess officially, welcome, although you've been doing the work for a long time. You've been doing the work for a while. So can you talk a little bit about, how you're feeling in the moment at the board meeting? I was at the board meeting. I was so happy.
And thank you so much.
And meeting your family and all of that.
Yes, they love me too. My mom is like, I love you.
So how are you feeling and what's on your mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel I'm grateful for sure for the opportunity. It's been a long journey. It's been a great and rewarding one, though. I think, because I've been with the district, so I started off as the director of literacy in 2021, and then a year later I was appointed to the assistant superintendent of schools, and then when the previous superintendent transitioned out, the board asked me to step in as the interim superintendent, and now being the appointed superintendent, I'm just grateful that I was fortunate enough to have it'll be almost 3 years in August, the opportunity to really learn the district, really unpack the needs of the community, and just really see it all. And so now I've in the 8 to 9 months that I've been in this role, the reality is you discover something new every day. But I'm just excited about the work that my team and I have planned moving forward. And so I think that's the part that just refuels me.
Yeah.
And keeps me wanting to do this work.
We were both born and raised on the South Side of Chicago. Educated in Chicago public schools.
Absolutely.
Found our way to Evanston.
Yes.
And what about your life experience do you believe has prepared you for where you are right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, the biggest life experience for me is just, understanding and unpacking the background of where I come from. And so I, was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi, to a single mom of 3. I have an older brother who's deceased, was born with hydrocephalus, and they didn't anticipate he would live past 6 months, but he actually lived until he was 11. And so the resilience that my mom really demonstrated for my sister and I, and my brother at the time, really raising us, and really, despite the odds and challenges that she had to engage raising 3 children, it was just the tenacity and the grit that she showed. And I think more importantly, what was valuable for her was education. And she really instilled that in us. And so I just take that with me, throughout everything that I do. I tell people I was born to be an educator, if that makes any sense. And so I can recall back, it's a rolling joke in our family, but I would wake up really early in the morning, teach my imaginary kids, and every time my mom thought somebody was breaking into our house, but it was just me simply just lining my teddy bears and my dolls up and emulating.
You were teaching the teddy bears.
Yeah, emulating the awesome teachers that I had, and so it's those kind of experiences that I hold true to ensuring that providing the best quality education for kids is at the core of who I am.
Yeah.
And I tell people that's because I was born to do this work.
Yeah. So what are your priorities, your top priorities for you now as the superintendent?
Yeah, when I think about our priorities, I like to use an acronym or foreshadow this acronym. So it's UNITY. So you remember Queen Latifah?
Okay. Yeah, you kind of, challenge Queen Latifah, what you wearing
to the 90s, right? But really, it's really around our unwavering commitment for financial stewardship, being very thoughtful around how to create no-nonsense nurturing environments, and really being thoughtful around how safety and climate, really plays a role in that work. At the core of it, improving the instructional core. Like, it's important that we have to go in with a laser-like focus around teaching and learning. This idea around talent acquisition and retention is so huge, because as we continue to bring talent, and even with the talent that we have in our district, how are we continuing to cultivate that and build the capacity of the adults to better service kids? And I think in the middle of all of that really is every decision we make in District 65 is centered around kids. And we put kids at the forefront of every decision that we make. And I think surrounded by all of that, we are still on this journey and this campaign that I've been doing this year around the J Factor, which is simply just bringing the joy back to this work. Like, we work too hard, and I tell those people who signed up to do this work, essentially you signed up as a servant leader. And so in order to do that, you got to have joy with it. We know the work is going to be hard. Yeah. But how do you keep people refueled? How do you keep this exciting? Because at the end of the day, everything that we do as adults, we're molding kids into being essentially what our future will be. And so those are really just the 5 core areas that really align to, or we like to call them the 5 guiding principles that really align to the work of our strategic plan. And so it's just really honing in on those priorities and really trying to get it right.
Yeah, so you got a lot of 202 families that are listening, a lot of District 65 families, and families that have students in both 202 and District 65. As the new superintendent, what's your message to them? What do you feel like you would want to share for families who are in our schools as the new superintendent in District 65?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the message I would want to really share, to families is, it's really about putting kids at the forefront of everything that we do. And in District 65, we have adults who are totally committed to ensuring that the children in this community are successful. I appreciate the collaboration and work that you and I do. Do we have, some work to do in terms of just getting it right? Yeah, absolutely. But, our partnership and collaboration, I like to tell people at the end of the day, we service the same kids.
That's right. Same families.
The same families. And so the more we're in sync and aligned, the more when our kids transition to 202, the more we know we are preparing them to be able to go into that next phase of their life. And so for us, it's just, staying grounded and staying focused around what's most important for kids.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because, we have been developing a relationship, a bond, both professional and personal.
Absolutely.
And there's no animosity. There's no competition between the districts. We're really trying to work together.
Yes.
Right. We shared this at the last board meeting.
Yes.
That we're really trying to align our efforts, and we have different challenges because the populations we have can be a little different, but we're really trying to work together to address the issue.
Absolutely. And I think our first really changing the narrative around that was that February joint meeting.
That's right. Yeah.
We worked extremely hard to really show that we collectively work together and partner on ensuring that our kids are successful. This isn't, what 65 isn't doing and what 202.
That's right.
This is once kids are getting ready to matriculate from elementary school to high school, what additional things do we need to take into consideration to continue to support the needs of students? And I just think the more we shift away from
this binary of us and them, and
or
them and us,
just these silos where we're in silos versus this idea of us working together to really support the needs of children. I think the more we continue to do that, both sides, your staff, my staff, I'm confident that the outcomes for students will improve.
Yeah. And, and I know people know this, you and I live it every day, and so do the staff and the kids. The landscape in education has just changed dramatically since the pandemic.
Yes.
And we're all trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to support? What's the best way to service
Absolutely.
kids? What's the best way instructionally, given TikTok and social media and the screens? It's all different.
And just the increase in just mental health
and
coming
mental health
from
in
the pandemic. So
absolutely.
It takes and honestly, I would say, since we've had to come back off the pandemic, we have really had to be thoughtful about how do we think about doing school differently.
That's right.
And it's not an easy task. And every day, and we're not perfect, but every day I think we continue to strive to work together to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And really trying to uncover and discover what else can we do to transform the lives of kids. And we do that collectively. So
that's right.
I appreciate that.
And I appreciate it too. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to having the ability to reimagine District 65 in a different way, right? I'm looking forward to really being thoughtful about how we lift up our 5-year strategic plan. So as you know, 2 years ago, the board adopted our strategic plan that we're currently in. We're in year 2 of that. So we have 3 years left on the life cycle of it. And I'm just looking to get really granular on what our priorities are as a district and really help everybody within the district understand what those priorities are, understand how the work of the different departments drive to those priorities. But more importantly, I'm really looking forward to creating solid systems and structures in our district that will have huge dividends for the organization long term. And I think the greatest thing of all is I'm looking for us to just slow down. I think I used a term when I came in this district 3 years ago, and I started using this term last year with staff, but really it's as slow as we must. Everything is not urgent. Everything is not an emergency. But when we can hone in on the things that are most important, we can have the most impact, the greatest level of impact on improving outcomes for kids. And so I'm just looking forward to slowing us down, getting us very laser-like focused on what's most important. And then I'm hopeful and excited for the outcomes that we're going to get in the future. And so that's what I'm looking for.
All right. Well, Dr. Turner, it has been a pleasure to get to know you and to meet you and to work with you.
Yes.
And to have you here at the podcast, on this podcast. I hope we can do this annually.
Oh, let's do it annually. We should.
And just kind of get out there and talk to folks together.
Yes.
Just so that, we can be unified and begin to address whatever we need to address together.
Absolutely.
As we have been entrusted with such a humbling opportunity to lead these districts in such an amazing community.
Absolutely.
That has such a emphasis and a pride and priority in education.
Yes.
Right. So, Dr. Turner, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
And to all of you, thank you for joining me in this podcast. And I look forward to you joining us the next time. See you later.
Be sure to stay connected to the Wildkit Way by subscribing to it wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you for listening. This is the Wildkit Way.